Hello, hello. Today is Thursday, August 30th, 2018, and you are listening to the Woke Food Podcast, episode 13, which is about cancel culture. Is cancel culture effective, or is it a waste of time? What's going on, Jordan? Now, the most recent person to sort of be on this chopping block of cancel culture is our good friend Doja Cat. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Doja Cat, she is an artist, a rapper, a singer of sorts. She does a lot of different types of genres of music, some more electronic, and she also is into like trolly, jokey music, So I guess it's like the Weird Al, or she's a Weird Al of rap. I guess so. But she blew up because she had a song that came out, right? The song was called Moo. And apparently she was trying to record a song, like a serious song, and she was kind of like fucking up. And she was just so frustrated that she was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to make a stupid song about cows. And let me read to you some of the lyrics. I can't play it because of copyright. Pre-chorus. Bitch, I'm a cow. Bitch, I'm a cow. I'm not a cat. I don't say meow. Bitch, I'm a cow. Bitch, I'm a cow. Bitch, I'm a cow. Bitch, I'm a cow. And that's like there are some parts of the song that are a little bit more like, grade A ho, not lean, got me A1 sauce, please. Like, it's like some witty little lines here and there. Now, what's going on, Vanessa, Bria, Shizua, Jewel? Hey. So we're talking about Doja Cat, right? Now, she blew up, right? And all these people were like, oh my God, I love her. And then people didn't. Because she, put this up, apparently tweeted out on the 28th, so 2 days ago, at 8:16 p.m. And she said, at Doja Cat on Twitter, quote, I called a couple people FAGGOTS when I was in high school in 2015. Does this mean I don't deserve support? I've said expletive roughly 15,000 times in my life. Does saying expletive mean you hate gay people? Do I hate gay people? I don't think I hate gay people. Gay is okay. Now, the reactions were swift. I reposted it on my page on the 28th. And I was just like, welp, that was fun while it lasted. Because I knew that, hey, when it is your time to go, when you are on the internet machine and the Lord Jesus of cancel world calls your name, you gotta go. You are deployed. You gotta go to war. And she was just getting all of it. People were just like, oh man, I knew I shouldn't have supported you. Oh, I know. I knew I shouldn't have trusted you because you're this, or it's because you're light skinned, or like any number of things, right? People are they had all sorts of different reasons, and I'm not disagreeing or agreeing with any of it. I think people have their own reasons, whatever, okay? So she is the latest person on the chopping block, and a lot of people have been asking in the SJW community, like, where do we go from here? We've been canceling people for a long time. Like, what is this whole cancel culture shit? Like, does it even work? Is it productive? So let's go ahead and go over this topic today. We're going to go ahead and talk about what cancel culture is, people who have been canceled, some of the pros and cons of cancel culture. We'll talk about the whole notion of a problematic fave, and then we'll also go ahead into little bigger topics. Now, what is cancel culture? So canceling, essentially, if you're unfamiliar, is basically like boycotting somebody. It's essentially saying that I am not going to support them, whether it's I'm not going to watch their videos and I'm not going to give them views on YouTube, which could potentially result in them gaining revenue. I'm not going to contribute to that, even though statistically speaking, like, you know, your one view isn't really going to impact anything. It also means to withdraw support monetarily. So I'm not going to shop there anymore. I'm not going to buy those products. You know, I'm not going to speak about them and give them more social media attention, whatever, right? So there's a number of things that you can do when it comes to cancel culture. You can cancel businesses, you can cancel celebrities, and you can also cancel individual people. So whether you're canceling, all right, so here are some examples. Some businesses that have been canceled. Papa John's. Papa John's, when he was discovered to, you know, I mean, he's been shit for a really long time, to be honest. I remember when he was like, oh, if we don't elect Trump, then I'm going to cut like the benefits of my employees. And so he was like weirdly coercing people into voting a certain way. And not only that, but he's just always been sort of a tool bag. And then recently there was like that video of him saying the N-word during a conference. And, you know, now Papa John is out of his job. So, and it's, oh my gosh, if anybody is like following this saga of Papa John, it is like the wildest days of our lives shit ever, where it's like Papa John's owns this business. It's named after his ass. He got caught saying the N-word. He got kicked out of his own company, named by him. And now he's trying to sue the company or something. It is the weirdest thing ever. It is the weirdest thing. We also have Starbucks. There was that incident of the two black men who were sitting down in Starbucks, and someone, you know, or a cashier or a manager called the cops on them because she just thought that they were like suspicious or whatever, and they were just sitting down at a Starbucks, and Starbucks got canceled. Starbucks got dragged through the mud. People were boycotting them. People were actually boycotting them out in person. They're holding up signs and protesting them. H&M was canceled when they came out with that shirt. That little black kid who wore a shirt that was like the coolest monkey in the jungle, you know, and people were pissed off and people boycotted it. And The Weeknd and G-Eazy withdrew their partnerships from H&M, and it was a huge like it was a huge boycott. It was so big that the boycott actually made its way to Africa, and there were stores throughout Africa. I don't remember which particular cities, but they were like knocking down clothes and like they're like, fuck this shit, like you guys are racist, and so H&M got it. Like I told you, when it's your time, when you're on that, when the Lord Jesus of cancel culture whispers your name, you gotta come. And so H&M got. What else? The Oscars. Remember? The Oscars got canceled because they were, they had a bunch of, like, they didn't have any people of color for, like, what was it, like 2 years? Or, I mean, more than that, but, whatchamacallit? What else? Oh, Jules said that it was a South African store and it was closed. They destroyed it so hard, they closed it permanently. Yeah, I remember that. Who else has been canceled? The NFL. The NFL has been canceled for discriminating against Colin Kaepernick and essentially blacklisting him from working and getting a job in the NFL. Kanye West was canceled because he wore a Make America Great Again hat, and he was making those statements about slavery being a choice. So there are a lot of people, a lot of people, a lot of businesses, a lot of celebrities, and for those of you in the activist community, or not even just the activist community, hell, if you are in any community, I'm pretty sure that you you've seen, all right, I'm pretty sure that you've seen people in your community get canceled. Onyeka said, what does this have to do with Doja Cat? Doja Cat was canceled, apparently, like 2 days ago because she said a homophobic slur. And she got totally dragged for it. She got canceled. So we're talking about cancel culture. All right, so you know what kind of cancel culture is, and you know now who has been canceled and for what. All right, so let's talk about sort of general pros and cons of being canceled. Oh, hey, it's HB. Hello, hello. All right, so pros, right? On one hand, it's fantastic because you're reclaiming power. A lot of people who don't have, or who traditionally did not have a voice to be able to speak out against Papa John's or a Starbucks or a Kanye West, because of social media, it has allowed this democratic platform where people can go ahead and voice their concerns. And now that the popularity of beliefs are a contingent on likes and shares and how viral you can get, it has given a lot of, quote, common people, sort of the everyday people, a voice. Given a voice to minority groups, given a voice to marginalized voices, you know? And so by staging a, quote, canceling, a boycott of something, then you draw attention to it. You draw attention to the problem. You draw attention to the thing that they are doing, you know, the offensive thing or the problematic thing that they've done, right? So it is beneficial. Oh, Safi said Chick-fil-A. Yeah, Chick-fil-A did it as well. Kaylin said, I thought the Doja Cat thing was satire. Not. I don't think the tweet. But not even just that. Like if you're looking into the whole Doja Cat thing, there are people who are also looking at other songs of hers. Like there's apparently there's a song where she was making fun of Asian people. There's a song where apparently people are saying she's problematic because she called it "didn't do nothing," which is like, you know, this essentially racist phrase, of way of mocking black people. So again, it's all over the place, but I'm not trying to put my stance on Doja Cat because, again, I know it's a lot more intricate than I know, and I know that, you know, if you are part of the LGBTQ community, you know more about this than me anyways. But anyways, all right, so pros. So you can reclaim power. Now, another thing that you can do is, you know, you can essentially create legitimate progress, you know, by staging that cancel of Starbucks and dragging the CEO out and making him, you know, acknowledge like, hey, this is your company. You started in Seattle and you're supposed to be this like super diverse and liberal company that is like super inclusive of everybody. But not only do these two black men get kicked out of Starbucks, but there are other black people who've said that they've experienced a similar thing. And so that cancel led to the progress of the CEO coming out and saying, for now on, like, if you just walk into a Starbucks, you don't have to buy anything. Like, you can just come in and sit down, and that's totally fine. And you also had that whole nationwide diversity training day, or like anti-bias training day, where they shut down for a whole day or for like an afternoon or whatever. And someone came in and like coached them on like racism and shit. Right? So you can legitimately create progress. And it also worked with the whole Papa John thing. I remember like when Papa John came out saying the N-word, prior to that, people didn't really sort of give too much of a shit of all the problematic stuff that he was doing. But over time, it accumulated, and then he got kicked out of his own company. He got kicked out because there were a lot of executives and shareholders who were like, you know what, you are lowering our stock and we're losing money, so we need to kick you out. Another benefit is that you can stop bad behavior. You know, like the Papa John situation, and like the Starbucks situation. H&M, bet you $1 million, H&M, I'm not going to definitively say that they learned their lesson, but I can assure you that the team who is responsible for approving designs nowadays, they have a giant camera hovering over their desk. Because they're like, look, if we fuck this up again, and if we put the wrong shirt on the wrong kid, and we're just not aware of what we're doing with our ads, like, we're gonna lose our job. I wouldn't be surprised if the person who was responsible for choosing the whole coolest monkey in the jungle sweater, I'm pretty sure whoever was responsible for doing that, shit, they might have gotten fired. So those are just sort of the general pros. I know there's a little bit more, but those are some of the ones I came up with on the top of my head. Now, here are some of the cons. Here are some of the negative things that I think about when it comes to cancel culture. All right. The first of which is that it's incredibly informal. You see, not everybody agrees to the terms of cancel culture. Not only do they not agree on the terms and conditions of cancel culture at large, but they don't agree about who should be canceled and for what and the severity. You know what I mean? Like there are some people who see the whole Doja Cat thing and they're like, oh, she's canceled. Don't ever listen to her. Don't ever talk to her. She's trash. Trash her, blah, blah, blah. And there are other people who are like, you know, I'm gay and I use this word and I don't care, whatever. You know, like there's a spectrum of opinions. And I've seen those spectrum of opinions in people who were, quote, woke and people who were, quote, not woke, you know? And so it's like everyone has their different taste on what they think is worth being canceled. And since it's not an official thing, it's not like an official document that we're like, oh, you know, we the people of, you know, the POC America are going to cancel this person, you know, like that doesn't exist. And so what ends up happening, in my opinion, is that most of the argumentation and most of what seems like the drama and the hype around cancel culture has less to do with how we feel about that particular person and more to do with us arguing with each other about the terms and conditions of the cancel. So it's like one person says, oh, I canceled Doja Cat, she is 100% trash. Another person's like, I canceled Doja Cat too, but I think that we should just like, you know, give her a chance. Boom. Those people who were already on the page of let's cancel Doja Cat, because there is that slight difference, because there is that 50% difference where one person is 100% involved in the cancel and another person is 50%, for the next how many days, they're going to be arguing about that 50%. Oh, but you don't understand. Oh, no, you understand. Oh, well, you're actually talking over me because, you know, I am a disabled Asian American activist. Oh, well, you're talking over me because I am a dark-skinned woman. You know, it's like, it gets so messy because people, again, once you get into that minutia, that 50%, that's when you get so much of the argumentation. And I'm not saying that argumentation is like bad. You know, this is discourse and it's good and it's important for us to be able to like flex these opinions and express how we feel about these issues. I think the only problem is that because of cancel culture, that arguing of that 50% oftentimes leads to another series of canceling. So it's like you'll have a person who you have two people who are both for canceling, and one person has a slightly different opinion, and then that person gets canceled. And then it just like it sort of branches off into, oh, well, I'm canceling you because you didn't cancel somebody. Or I'm canceling you because you have a friend who's really problematic and they canceled somebody. And do you want to be associated with that friend? So it's like, unfortunately, activists are really good about maneuvering this space and sort of, again, like, it's informal and it's very loosely supported. Like, not everyone agrees on things, and also not everyone is coming in with the same information. Not everyone's reading the same articles. Not everyone's even reading the articles. Not everyone saw the video. Not everyone understands who these particular people are, or what the history is, or So it's like, there are a lot of reasons why people are sort of disagreeing, and a lot of reasons why certain people like don't come to the same conclusions and whatnot. And also on top of that, when it comes to canceling, not everyone can. I don't think that people understand this, but literally not everyone can cancel certain things. And I know I can say technically, yes, you can, but like, for example, right? If say, for example, people were telling you that you needed to cancel Starbucks. Okay, well, what happens if you work there? Okay, well, what happens if you've been going there every day of your adult life because you can't afford internet, and so Starbucks has free internet? What happens if your company always gets free Starbucks in the morning? What happens if you have a meeting or a date and someone on Tinder suggests Starbucks? Do you have to go ahead and tell them that you canceled Starbucks and not to meet them or whatever? It's just, again, like, I'm not trying to create excuses for people to just like avoid canceling or whatever, or to like, no one can boycott anything. But I'm just saying that it's a lot more intricate than that, and I think it's just a lot more intricate because you also have to consider, like, who also establishes the rules. If you've been in the activist community a lot for a while, you'll notice that certain communities will have different perspectives. If you're on a more super far left, or if you're something that's a little bit more liberal, or if you're in a community that has predominantly women or people who are predominantly gamers or whatever, every community has like their different set of politics, right? And again, so you're really fighting to see, like, well, who's making the rules, whose opinion, whose morals are to be used as the standard and as the measuring stick, And I think that's why it's so tough for a lot of activists. And I think a lot of us will always identify as activists, but we'll just be moving around, like, we'll just be bouncing off from community to community, and because we're just constantly like, oh, well, this place is trash, this place is toxic, this place doesn't have a safe space and whatever. And I think that's perfectly fine. I think you should definitely move around and see what works for you. But I think there are some people who are just so ready, like, they want every single community to be absolutely perfect, and they're willing to cancel everybody just to get there. And I just think that, like, all right, so my take is, I've always been in support of like canceling businesses and celebrities, right? Because they make a lot of money. Businesses, like, if there are business practices that are racist or problematic, then it's advantageous to boycott it, because you don't want a machine that has money to be able to perpetuate racism and to perpetuate discrimination. Celebrities have a huge impact, and for celebrities, they make money off of their image and their appearance and whatnot, and so canceling certain celebrities over certain things I see as a little bit more reasonable, because celebrities are sort of their own brand. My issue comes when people try to dedicate all this time into canceling individual, like, friends, and just like random activists, or like not even like me. I understand that people want to cancel me, and to be honest, I think that's fine if people want to cancel me because I am a page, and I accept the fact that I am a platform. But I'm talking about some of you, like some of you who are just like, I don't know, you just fucking you work at Chick-fil-A, or you work at Walmart, and you go to school and whatever, but like people are trying to like drag you and cancel you and stuff like that, and it's just like dang, like I've seen some people who get canceled over just the most minute shit, and it's like you're already not really like, you don't really have a platform or anything like that, but it's like, damn, like that could really fuck you up. But I don't know, I think it's a waste of time, to be honest. I think it's a waste of time. I think a lot of activists who spend their days canceling individual activists, and like they don't have a platform or anything like that. It's kind of like, well, what is the payoff? Did they lose their job? Like, are you making money off of this? Like, I don't get it. Like, are they a CEO of a company or something like that? So I don't fully get it. But Safi said, the thing about cancel culture for me is there's a personal accountability versus a community adherence. I haven't canceled Starbucks because it was a workers manager's offense, whereas Chick-fil-A will not get my money to funnel into conversion camps. Quote, oh, y'all going to Chick? I'm sure there's a McD's or something I can grab while y'all are there oppressing my peoples. LOL. Javon Nellam says, there is no such thing as a perfect community. K. Beck said, well, if Walmart is your only option, I won't throw shade. But if you just want to get those cheap goods, then I will call it out. Kay said, I personally think people should be canceled until they put in the work to show they aren't oppressive. Sometimes that is forever, and sometimes it isn't. Now, we've gone over the pros and cons of canceling, just sort of the rough pros and cons. Now I want to go ahead and talk about one of my favorite little topics, and it's just, I think it is one of the most fascinating things within the SJW sort of lexicon, and it is the problematic fave. Now, the problematic fave is, gosh, it is a very, look, I'm telling you, problematic fave is the most interesting concept, and let me explain why. If you don't know what problematic fave is, it's basically what the name implies. It is something that you love that you know is problematic, and you continue to like it knowing that it is problematic. So I think it's funny because I think everybody has a problematic fave. Everybody has a problematic fave. Everybody. And you could deny it. You could say that you are super woke and that everything that you touch and listen to and consume is super duper woke. But nowadays on social media, honestly, all you have to do is type in a word, type in a name, type in a business, type in anything, and then follow it up with problematic, and you'll find something. You'll find some tweet. You'll find something. Oh, the Dark Knight was problematic because of blah, 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 blah. And the way that they portrayed mental health, and, like, there's so many. You can make anything problematic. You can make literally anything problematic. And the notion of the problematic fave is fascinating because it's basically a get out of jail free card. It's basically I know it's problematic, but look, I just can't help it. I can't help it. A lot of people, like, I know a lot of folks who are gay, and they're like, this is my problematic fave, but I love Chick-fil-A. I love it. I live right next to it. It is super delicious and inexpensive, and they just make really good chicken sandwiches. I love Chick-fil-A. Some people are like that. And again, everyone has a problematic fave. And look, even Cameron said it brilliantly. Facebook, in and of itself, is a problematic fave, which is 100%, which is 150% true. How many times have we talked about Facebook silencing people of color? How many times have I talked about Facebook being a platform that isn't doesn't really think of people of color within, well, when it comes to their moderation? They're constantly banning people of color. They're constantly allowing like white supremacist groups and pages and people to exist. But I've been here for a long time, and I've been a big advocate for this platform. Does that make me problematic? Because you can make that argument. Everybody here can 100% make that argument, and everybody could 100% cancel me right now and say that Rainier / the Love Life of an Asian Guy is super problematic because they are on this platform. You know what I mean? And so the problematic fave is this wild card where it's almost like we exist in this activist space, right? We say that, oh, like we're boycotting this, we're doing that, we're doing that, we're doing that. But I feel like everybody has this little box in their pocket called the problematic fave box, where we talk all this stuff on social media about being an SJW, about boycotting this and being an activist for that. But there are a lot of things where it's like people are talking about it, and instead of us giving our opinion, we just put it in the problematic fave box. It's like this secret box that we don't tell anybody. That like, oh, by the way, I have this in my problematic fave box. Like, hey, let me tell you what's in my problematic fave box. I really enjoyed, and I know, oh gosh, I know. Look, I know that people are probably going to say some shit. Wait till someone runs off and takes this. But hey, go ahead. At least I'm owning up to it. I really enjoyed the Kanye West album, his new one, his two recent ones, one with Kid Cudi and his album Yay. I didn't want to listen to it. Right? At first I was like, Kanye West is terrible, blah, blah, blah. And I've never really listened to Kanye West, which is the funny thing. I've never really listened to him. And I could have always listened to him before, but it wasn't until the whole slavery comments that I was like, man, this is terrible. This is terrible. But it's like, it's that thing where it's just like, the oven is so hot, but you want to touch it. You just want to touch it. And look, I listened to it, right? And I was so pissed off. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to listen to this, right? I don't want to listen to this. And then I listened to that song where he was just like, it was titled Free. Let me look up the lyrics. Hold on a second. Kanye West Free lyrics. All right. Oh no, it's on his Kids See Ghosts. Yeah, it was the album that you worked on with Kid Cudi. And the chorus goes, I don't feel pain anymore. Guess what, baby? I am free. Nothing hurts me anymore, baby. Guess what, baby? I am free. And it was so interesting because I didn't want to listen to Kanye West stuff, right? I didn't want to listen to anything that he was producing, right? But I was going through such a bad time in my life where it's like I was dealing with my own mental health and I was dealing with my own depression. And there was something about listening to some of the shit that he was writing. And I know it's not like, the most amazing production work, but like it resonated somehow. And I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And I ended up really liking it. Like, I really liked the album, and I just kept listening to it, and I just kept thinking to myself, like, I'm not going to tell anybody, I'm just not going to tell anybody. But then I was thinking to myself, like, but if I like the album, like, you know, then I do. Even if I post it or not, I like it. And so it was this weird sort of feeling of like, am I a bad person? Am I supporting him? Blah 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 blah. And like, again, that's a hard thing. Is that like, especially when it comes to artists, like there are some people who are problematic, and some people who you know are horrible. But if you listen to their song and you just start dancing, like for me, again, I know I can't speak for everybody, but I'm sure a lot of people know that feeling where it's like sometimes you hear a song and it just makes you dance. Or sometimes you hear a song and you don't know who it is and you start dancing, and then when you find out who sings it, you're like, "Oh shit, really? I hate them." and and that's sort of what it was. It's like I didn't really listen to Kanye West before, but then listening to him and then hearing him talk about like certain mental health stuff, as much as I know that he's like fake and whatever and blah blah blah, like hearing some of those songs in that place that I was in, it made me feel better. It made me feel better. And look, another person who I not necessarily liked, but I just grew more of an understanding of the work, was super problematic Mr. XXX Tentacion. Like, this dude fucking like abused his girlfriend and shit, right? And then he died. He got shot in his car. And I remember I was writing about it and stuff like that, and I was just like, shh. I mean, he's dead. Like, he's not. He can't. He literally cannot benefit for me watching his music videos. So what about that? If someone's dead and they actually can't benefit from the support that you give them, is it then okay to consume their work? See what I mean? Like, it's really confusing. It's really wishy-washy, and you could make arguments for any of that shit. Because technically, it's like if we watch or support anything from XXX Tentacion, even though he's dead, it will go to the record label, or the money will go to his family. So then it's a question of, oh, well, is it this weird situation that by virtue of him dying, you are now supporting his family by listening to his music? Again, it's really confusing. Donald Carlyle said, I think the problem is people very rarely come across genius and let you know how it works. Jules said, but I love some Endgame, haha. Hey, R. Kelly, it came on at the gym and I was like, I ain't trying to be rude, but and then I was like, don't do this, girl, don't do this. You see what I mean? Like, there's that part of you that wants to stand up for these issues and talk about these things, right? You, in your beliefs and your opinions of them aren't shaken, but damn sure when the song comes on, your ass is, and your fucking legs, and you're just like, you wanna. I think it's one of those things where it's just like, maybe that's part of being a human activist. It's like you're perpetually in this cycle of how much of myself do I want to reveal or tell people that I actually like when I tell them that I don't like it, And it's kind of interesting because in a very Black Mirror way, the internet has reversed the way that humans are. Like before it's like, in real life, you would act a fake way. And on the internet, you would act your true self. That's how the internet was like a long time ago. It's like, oh, in person I'm very shy and very nerdy, but when I'm on the internet, I feel powerful, I feel strong. When I'm on the internet, I feel like myself, I feel confident. But nowadays, it's like on the internet, you have to be fake on the internet. And in real life, because it's not recorded and because you don't have tweets, in real life, saying things, that is what is private. And that is what it gives you a sense of privacy nowadays, actually logging off. Whereas before, the internet was a place to be private. I don't know. I don't know if I'm making sense, but like I just see it as kind of an interesting phenomenon. Like the internet has become where we exist. Our behaviors on the internet are now more of a reflection of who we are than what we do in person. It's fascinating. I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying it's a very complicated thing. It's a different thing. That's all. Key Beck said, real talk, I exit the dance floor when R. Kelly comes on. Sappy Sky, he gets me on production. I never really like R. Kelly. He's something on someone. Sorry, I think your keyboard messed up. Charlie says, I think you can appreciate art without agreeing with the artist, especially in the age of being able to get access to things without paying for them or promoting them. I agree with that. I fully agree with that. I think if you want to consume like Kanye West music or whatever, like all you have to do is just go on YouTube and then not watch the video that's on his thing. Although at the same time, Kanye West can actually claim the revenue from that video, so technically you'd still be supporting him. But it's I don't know, because like it's also hard because like then it's like you tell people like, okay, I want you to listen to this album, but they're problematic, so I don't want you to listen on YouTube. But if you can torrent it real quick and wait for the 10 minutes to torrent the album, then you can it's like, again, I know that I fully agree with you though. I like, especially when it comes to being able to consume art and not have to actually make the person benefit, which I think is also a statement on the art industry and how artists aren't getting paid. But anyways, Kristen Thomas said, I think a responsible person knows how to come in contact or be aware of artists and music that is problematic and know why they are problematic, thereby knowing how much weight to give them. Jaleesa McLean said, I think it's hard for people to cancel things they love or find pleasure from. We like artists, music, or this actor, and when they do something problematic, it's hard to part from them. Yeah, that's the thing, is that especially when it comes to an artist and the nature of what an artist does, if they create something that resonates with you, sometimes that's all it really takes. Sometimes it could be a horrible person or whatever, but if there's something that just looks pretty, it's kind of like the whole Jeffree Star thing. Apparently Jeffree Star is like this horrible racist person, but a lot of people, I was talking to my wife, a lot of people really like Jeffree's makeup products, and that it complements their skin, and that was the only makeup that compliments them. So it's hard. Let's see, Safi Sky said, yeah, I had to edit. He'll be on / produce someone else's song and I have to fight myself. Oh yeah, so you're talking about R. Kelly. Yeah, it's, again, like what happens if you have a problematic artist, right? And they get featured in a song with all these other people who are not problematic. Like, what if Kanye West was in a song with like all these cool people, and like he was on a track with like Mariah Carey and Aretha Franklin or whatever? It's like, then what? I don't know. All right. So moving on. Now, let's talk about a couple other people. Now these are people who are canceled and arguably canceled in probably some of the biggest ways. All right? Like they did egregiously horrible shit that you should get canceled for. Like absolutely should get canceled for. Like there isn't even a debate about it. You know, it's everyone from Bill Cosby or Kevin Spacey or Roseanne Barr or Logan Paul or Louis C.K. or Mel Gibson. People who are just very overtly racist or they're abusers. So let's take Logan Paul, for example, right? Logan Paul, in the early, it was January of 2017, he uploaded that video of the suicide forest where he goes to the Aokigahara forest in Japan that is known for, you know, people going there to commit suicide or pursue, or I forgot what the right terminology was. I remember that like saying commit suicide is like fucked up, and there was another better phrasing of it. I sorry, it's sort of escaping me. So if anyone has a correction of that, please let me know. But so he went to the suicide forest, and he had a little goofy hat, and he's with these friends, and then he saw a dead body. Like someone was hanging from a tree, and he filmed it, and he was just like, "Oh wow, this is weird, man." And he was just like, they were like laughing, and they showed the body on camera, and they monetized the video. So, like it was very disgusting. It was incredibly disgusting, and on top of that, like he made these videos of him going to Japan. He was just being like a disrespectful little racist piece of shit, like just a typical racist, annoying little shit. That was last year. This year, he just made, I don't even know how, he probably made like several $100,000 or even $1 million or whatever to fight in that YouTube fight against KSI. KSI is this black gamer from the UK. He plays like FIFA and he does a lot of like bro sports stuff, but he makes a lot of money. And that KSI guy, he got in a fight, a professional or an amateur boxing match with another YouTuber, and they filmed it and they made a lot of money. And then when he won, he called out Logan Paul. Logan Paul got in the fight, and now he made a lot of money. All right. And what people are saying is that he took this fight as a way to get everyone to forget about the suicide forest. And for the most part, people did. People, and some people even used the fight as ammo to be like, oh, I hated him from the suicide forest. Let me go pay to watch this video so I can see him get beat up. And spoiler alert, I do believe KSI won. It was ruled a majority draw, so KSI gets to keep his little YouTube belt. But essentially, Logan Paul bounced back, you know, and not only that, but he also profited from it. Made a lot of fucking money. Oh yeah, so Yafin said, completed suicide or died by suicide. Okay, there you go. Yeah, or succumb to suicide. Okay, thank you, Shar. All right, yeah, I'll try to remember that. Succumb to suicide or complete suicide or die by suicide. Okay, cool. So that was Logan Paul. Another person who is making a comeback is Louis C.K. Louis C.K. is a Mexican and white comedian, but he totally looks just like a white guy. He was a comedian who's been around for a very long time, and he blew up. He got his own TV show and all these Netflix specials, and you know, he had a really, like, it was an award-winning show on FX. One of the richest one of the richest comedians, at least until he got dragged. And what happened was a lot of women came forward and said that Louis C.K. was sexually harassing them. He would invite them to his hotel, he would be naked, he would force women to watch him masturbate. And he was just every shade of deviant sexual creep that you could think of. Just the worst. Right? Kristen Thomas, yeah, he is part Mexican. It's like his dad or something like that. But yeah, he is. It's kind of weird. So Louis C.K. he got like next to Harvey Weinstein. Louis C.K. is probably the second biggest person to get taken down by the Me Too movement. But apparently, his cancellation was expired because he's doing stand-up again. And I guess I don't know where he was doing stand-up, but people paid to watch the show. You know? People paid to watch the show. Look, Louis C.K. still has his money. He still has his millions. He still made his fortune. And now he's still welcome back to these stages. And I bet you a lot of the people there who are watching know about it, know about what he's done. I bet you a lot of people there are against sexual harassment. I bet you a lot of people who are there are women. I bet you a lot of people there who are probably identifying as being liberal or feminists. But yeah, he's basically like, now that the fire is sort of tamed down and our energy has been directed at canceling other people, I guess Louis C.K. and his publicist gave him the red flag or gave him the green light, and they were like, hey, you can come back. And so I guess I'd like to end with this question, which is, who gets to come back from being canceled? When you cancel somebody and you cut off their opportunities to make money, you get them fired or whatever, you drag them, you smear mud all over their name and shit. Who gets to come back from that? I don't think Harvey Weinstein's going to come back. But then again, I also didn't think that Louis C.K. was going to come back. I also thought that Logan Paul wasn't going to come back. And I also thought that Kevin Spacey wasn't going to come back, but apparently he like starred in a movie recently. It made like horrible money. Like apparently over the weekend it made like $126 in Canada or something like that. Like just abysmal numbers. But still, Kevin Spacey was paid. People always talk about like, oh, haha, well the movie didn't make a lot of money. Okay, yeah, but the actors did. The actors got paid. So who gets to come back from being canceled? If Logan Paul can come back after showing you a dead body and laughing at it, and if Louis C.K. can come back from decades of sexual harassment and sexual abuse, then what is cancel culture? How effective is it? You know, what are the limitations of it? Is it something that really can only be used against businesses? Like, I'm not saying that we need to stop doing cancel culture, but it's just something to think about, you know? It's just something to think about. Like, hey, man, like, you know, let's definitely cancel these horrible people, but let's also think, like, damn, I wonder how much of it's going to work, you know? And I think one of the things that's sort of obvious is that cancel culture is something that still benefits the same people with privilege. You know? These, like, rich white dudes. And what it makes me realize is that it's almost like you're sifting for gold, right? And, like, all these people who are getting canceled, all these, like, individual people, these little grains of sand, these little people like me and you or whoever who get canceled by their friends and their other SJWs, like, we're the ones who, like, end up, like, eating it up. And the people who end up surviving are the ones who have the most money, the ones who have the most privilege. And essentially, it makes you just wonder, like, you know, is cancel culture one of those things where it only ends up really working if it works against people of color? I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. And it's something that we can't really know until a couple of years down the line. All right, we'll take a couple more questions. Janelle said sexual deviants, rapists, racists, and pedophiles shouldn't come back. I fully agree. Yafin said, right, I feel like the people who can make comebacks are those that have money, because no matter what, at the end of the day, we're a capitalistic society. Stephen Bickle said, basically, she was unapologetic about it. Kristen Thomas said, it's really just mind-boggling how people will rehabilitate certain offenses over other ones. Key Beck said, thanks to white supremacy, white men will be able to come back always. And thanks to misogynoir, some black men in power with privilege will be allowed to come back. Sad. Safi Sky commented, it goes back to your statement about when the, quote, majority is not affected. Tommy Vang chimed in with, I don't control who the rest of the world cancels. I control who I cancel and who I think I should be canceled, and who I say I think should be canceled. And I don't think there's really a hard science to this. I cancel people and uncancel them based on whether I can tolerate them given what I estimate is the net effect of their work, transgressions, reparations, and just my personal human sympathy for them. Cool, I like that. Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, canceling is like this fluid thing where, like, so we talk about how Logan Paul was able to come back and Louis C.K. was able to come back. And at the same time, like, we've done that with people who we've canceled. Like, I remember when Don Lemon was canceled, but then he came back. I remember when Omarosa was canceled, but then she came back. You know, so it's like, can people also, like, revive themselves? Like, what does it take to be able to make a comeback? I don't know. It's interesting. Charlie said, Harvey Weinstein's position, though, in the film industry, I don't think is understood or cared about as much as a person who is directly in front of a camera or mic. Unfortunately, it seems to matter. FN said, you said that cancel culture helps people who historically don't have power, who historically don't have power now have power. So maybe when people make comebacks, it's a reminder that we have to fight for change on a bigger level. I agree with that. Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think that, you know, I don't think that we could have ever canceled anybody, least of all Harvey Weinstein, if it wasn't for social media. And I don't think that we would have even been able to cancel Harvey Weinstein back in like 2008, when a lot of the social media stuff was still sort of fresh and new. So I think it's a matter of time. I think it's a matter of once social media in America establishes a set of ground rules of, like, okay, this is the behavior that we're not going to accept. We're not going to accept a Harvey Weinstein. We're not going to accept a Logan Paul or whatever. Like, once there's a general consensus of what is good and what is not, I think then canceling will be more effective. You know, because I think that we're still sort of in this infant stage of us trying to figure out, like, what we want or what we can tolerate or not. Donald here, it's just people don't know how to cancel people properly. Kristen Thomas says, people get canceled for no reason habitually, so why would money matter? Look at Eartha Kitt and Josephine Baker. Yaffin Boyle said, that would be so sad if it was supposed to help give people color power, but then it's used to permanently cancel people of color. But it looks like that. Malaki Hill said she's back. What? But yeah, so cancel culture. Tell me what you think. Do you agree with it? What is sort of your methodology for canceling people? Like what are offenses that you think are worth canceling over? What are common offenses that other people cancel for that you don't think is a big deal? What are some businesses and who are some people and celebrities that you've canceled? Have you been canceled before? Have you participated in canceling? Let me know. Let me know in the comments section. This is episode 13 of the Woke Fu podcast. You can find me at Woke Fu on Facebook. I'm going to go ahead and try to download all these podcasts on the lag page and then repost it there, and then also repost it on SoundCloud and try to repost it on iTunes. But yeah, thank you everybody. I appreciate you all joining me today. Tomorrow we're gonna have another episode. I don't know what we're gonna be talking about, but yeah, I love you all. I love you all. I love you all. Have a nice afternoon.